It's time for your match preview as Nottingham Forest go down to the capital to play Mitrovic FC. And revenge is a dish best served cold. Welcome to Forest Fan TV. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and welcome to your match preview for Forest taking on and going down to Fulham FC. God, I can't stand them. Guys, in today's video, we're going to talk about the team news and the team preview and my predicted lineup. We'll cover off Mitrovic FC as well, and we'll cover off the historic games. And there have been a few interesting ones in this clash. Before we do all that, as always, please don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you missed our stream for the other night, where we went through and tried to predict all the results and how many points Forest will finish on, go to the community tab after this video. Get your predictions in against all the games. And the person who gets the points right for Forest at the end of the season will win one of our lovely FFTV hoodies, so make sure you join in. It's completely free to do. Theoric changes from the team. In terms of injuries, obviously we've covered off Niakhaté. Go check that video out if you haven't already. He's back, baby. He's back. I don't think he starts though. I don't think Ryan Yates is fully fit either, so I'm not expecting Yates to be back into the squad. I think there will be a couple of changes, but minor tweaks in terms of what we saw from the Leeds match. So let's bring up the actual team sheets and that I'm predicting. And for me, I think this is going to be what we get. So we'll stick with the 4-3-1-2. It never really is a 4-3-1-2. It never really is a 4-3-3. You can see it twisting and changing. So, for example, what you might see here is Jono pull out wide, IU out on the left, and then MG Dub playing as a false nine. Potentially, we could see that happening. Or you will see almost like a 4-3-1 on the right, one. It's just how Cooper likes to do it. Jono will always naturally pull out to the right. It doesn't matter if you put him on the starting lineup up front. But I do think IU has a chance of starting ahead of Chris Wood. After his dismal performance against Leeds, Chris Wood really hasn't earned the right to start this match. The only reason you would start him in this match is if you were saying, oh, he's still playing himself into the team and into the setup, etc. So maybe, but it could also work. Look, the only way I start Wood in a team now is if Scarpa is playing. And I don't think Scarpinia is going to start this one either. I would, but again, this is what I'm predicting the team sheet to be. So for me, what I expect to happen is IU to replace Wood, and I think Felipe will come in for McKenna, and we will see the unleashing of Felipe. It makes sense that now would be the right time to get him in. Him and Bully up against Mitrovic, they'd eat him for dinner. They really would. So I think that might be the two we see at the centre-backs. I think Aurier comes straight back in for Williams now that he's had his rest, and I think it was just a rest he needed, and he's settled in. He should be back in the starting 11. And I think we'll go for a dogged midfield three with Freuler sitting deeper and Mangala and Danilo being the workhorses either side of him. Look, Danilo didn't have a great game against Leeds, but he's still young. He's still learning. I've got a lot of belief and faith in this player, and I think he will come good. Obviously, Navas will be in goal, and MG Dub will operate in that hole as he goes from strength to strength. That's the team I think Cooper will go for. Do I fully agree with it? Not quite. I don't like the idea of Scarpa not playing. I've got to say I don't. And if it was me, I'm going to shock you with the team I would go for. So let me show you that. Okay, I've done it. I'm sorry, I've done it. I don't want to do it, but I've done it. I've put him up front. And I know it sounds crazy after, well, what I've said about him, what a lot of you have said about him. But if you got Scarpa on the ball, who can deliver across from the wide positions, then Wood would actually work potentially. If he can get his head and leave the ground and jump, that would be a good start. But Scarpa will whip those balls, and so will Lodi, and so will Aurier, and it could work. It also compacts the midfield, so instead of playing with the 3, we can play with the 5 in the transition. And you get that fluidity. I think we can definitely play Morgan Gibbs-White and Scarpina on the same pitch. And I think they can interchange between them. But the only way they can do that is if we're playing in the 4-2-3-1. In terms of Danilo and Freuler, look, I know Danilo had a shitty game against Leeds, but I still think that's just a one-off. He's still finding his feet. Let's give the kid a lot of time. But I just think this setup would work in the crappy stadium that is Craven Cottage. I mean, who has a cottage in the middle of it? This could work. This could be dogged, and this could be a real good fight. You have Wood coming up against their defenders. Maybe he can battle it out a little. But the fact that you got that 3 in behind, that SGJ combo, Scarpa, Gibbs-White, and Jono, they can cause a lot of damage. And then you really have to trust Danilo and Freuler to hold that midfield line higher up. But with Felipe and Bolly, who are both units who can, even though they haven't got the pace, they got the physicality to hold a defensive line up. We could squash them. Like, this team probably works better at the City grounds, in my opinion, because we've seen how woeful we are on the road. But maybe he does do it. But I can't see another way that Wood works in a team. And if you've bought Wood, you're probably going to have to use him. Could you switch Wood for AU? Yeah, you probably can. But then AU isn't exactly the tallest. He's great at leaping in the air. And you'll be surprised at the amount of header goals he has scored. I'm just like saying, guys, I don't want to play Wood, but I would feel forced into playing Wood into this formation. Tell me which one you prefer. All right, so let's quickly talk about Fulham FC, not Mitrovic FC. By the way, the Fulham fans absolutely hate me. It's really fun to see, so I can't wait to piss them off even more with my Mitrovic FC talk. But Mitrovic FC, they are indeed, and he has dried up. And they have struggled in the league. They haven't won in 3. And the last team they beat, I believe, in the league was Chelsea. And they just about scraped past Sunderland yesterday, I think, in the FA Cup. So a lot of these players were used. Some were rotated in off the bench. So don't expect a fully fresh Mitrovic FC team in there. However, this is the tactics they tend to use. They tend to line up in a 4-2-3-1. Which obviously you guys know is a formation I like. And they do have some decent players, but overall, this team is a team of raggy dolls, of has-beens and shitters that have been pieced together, and for some reason or other, they have clicked. But don't forget, they've played a game more than Forest and are about 5 or 6 points ahead of us. A win with us and the game in hand, I think we'd end up about 2 points off them once all games are level. So as much plaudits as Fulham have been given this season, they ain't streaking away. They're on 32 points. So there is still potential that they could be the team that drops down. And as the form book is dictating now, no win in 3, they're going to really need a win at home against Forest. Now, will they fancy their chances? Probably. But can we put in a dogged performance? We'll have to find out. In terms of the players to watch out for, Leno, I actually think out of all the raggy dolls, is a decent keeper, and I do quite rate him. He's been quite solid for them. Will.i.am has probably been one of their better players this season. The guy who was crap at Chelsea, crap at Arsenal, has suddenly found his home with all the rest of his raggy dolls and is fitting in quite comfortably. He's actually been playing decent, but he's old. He walks around with a Zimmer frame. I'd expect Aurier to deal with him at the weekend. Mitrovic is Mitrovic. He's just a lump. I think if Felipe and Bolly start, they can contain that bell end and make sure that he doesn't score. And then Pereira, the preseason Pereira, who has found a bit of form at Fulham. Another raggy doll from Manchester United. He comes in and he's been doing okay for them. They're very settled in this formation. I just don't think they're in the form that they were in just before the World Cup and just after. I think this is going to be a pretty dogged match between 2 battling teams. And where's it going to be won and lost? Definitely down the right wing between Will.i.am and Aurier. Whoever wins that battle will definitely cause their team to have the upper hand. You then got the midfield battle. It depends how high Paulinho and Reed are going to play. If Freuler, Danilo, and MG Dub or whoever's in the midfield, maybe it could be Mangala in a 4-3-1-2. If they can win that battle and overpower them in the midfield, we may see Forest with some success. But overall, a raggy doll team, but when played together, they're like, I'll take you guys back. I don't know if you remember Captain Planet. You know, a lot of has-been kids. But when they put those rings together, by their powers combined, Captain Planet forms. And this is a little bit like Fulham this season. But they can't sustain it. I don't see them finishing higher than they are now. I probably see them falling a few places. I think they're just going to become complacent as the rest of the season goes on. There you go, Fulham fans. There's a nice little clip for you. I'm making your lives easier. Okay, let's get into the scoreline. And I don't think this is going to be a big result either way. I think it's going to be another brutally ugly match like we saw against Leeds last week at the City Ground. But I expect there to be a goal in it. The only way it gets any uglier, or well, less ugly, should I say, than that, is if there's an early goal for Fulham and then Forest really do have to come out the traps and attack. Maybe we'll see a couple of goals that way. I don't like this game. I don't like Craven Cottage. It's another shitty stadium. I've never seen a stadium that has a cottage in the corner. I mean, the stupidity of it. Let's remember, they're not even the biggest club in West London. They're not even the second biggest club in West London. I'd say Brentford are bigger than them now. They're the third biggest club in West London, which is pretty embarrassing for them. Probably QPR can be ahead of them. I don't know. But I just think the result is going to be a draw. I'm going for a draw. I think it will be 0-0. I think it's going to be a boring one. If you're looking forward to a boring match, we'll have the watch along for you at the weekend. I'm really selling it to you, aren't I? So make sure you tune in from about 2:30 onwards and you won't miss a kick of the game. But get your scores in down below. This one, I would take the result we got last season. Steve Cooper with the assist on the throw-in. I think it was Colback who took the throw-in. Down the wing to Zinc. Complete defensive shambles from Fulham. 1-0 to Forest. Let's see if that happens. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next video. Please don't forget to like before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Come on, you Reds.